Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is doing good and staying safe. I, Tanya Gautam, along with Radhika Bansal, are members of the alumni cell of the Department of Economics, Indraprastha College for Women, University of Delhi. And this interview series is an initiative by the cell to inspire our future economists. Today, we are in conversation with Ms. Akanksha Vardani, a distinguished alumna of the Economics Department of our college. She is currently pursuing a doctorate in economics from the prestigious Columbia University in New York. She holds a master's degree from the Delhi School of Economics and meritoriously secured a first rank in the university. She was consistently at the top of her class during her time at IP and won numerous accolades. She has worked on various research papers and academic papers on a wide range of issues like gender biases, caste, inequality, sanitation, the IT industry utilizing rigorous econometrics in applied economics research. The list is indeed too long, and in addition to this, she is currently working as a research assistant at the Delhi School of Economics.
We are so glad to have you here, ma'am, to talk about your journey, experiences, and to share your insights about future prospects for the students in this field. These unprecedented times have moved social interactions online, but we would still like to ask you, ma'am, how does it feel to return to your alma mater, even if it is through these means?
It's always nice. Firstly, thank you very much for the very warm welcome. I think you gave me way more benefit than I really require. But it's always very nice to be reminded of IP. I mean, I had an amazing 3 years there, and whether it's virtually or being physically there, it's always very heartwarming. And thank you so much for giving me this platform and inviting me here.
Thank you, ma'am. That was really sweet. So, ma'am, for my first question to you is, what motivated you to choose economics, and what sustained that drive as you embarked on a doctoral degree in this discipline?
So, so I think so. I never wanted to do economics. Economics was nowhere near my to-do list when I was studying in my high school. I didn't know what I want to do, so my parents, being the risk-averse Indian parents generally are, they just said, go for science. And I was prepping for engineering, and but I never wanted to do that. And so luckily for me, I was good in mathematics. And so thankfully my mom came up with this very nice idea that why not economics. I had never even seen a indifference curve ever in my life, because I didn't have economics even in my high school. And so yeah, IP was the one that acquainted me to economics to begin with. I thought economics were just standard deviations and means. So, and that's why I will always be very thankful to IP, because it was professors there that like dwelled me deeper into it, made me realize that economics is what I wanted to do. Made me realize that economics is way beyond means and standard deviations, and how diverse and omnipresent economics is in almost every aspect of our life. So yeah, economics was never there, but I just love the field now. I think it was just after my first year that I realized that I want to do higher education in economics, and it just like kept on going, because at masters I was confronted with different questions, and I think there was always this drive there that I want to learn this subject as much more as I can. And even now it's there, like even after I've done just finished my first year in PhD, I'm still like, there is so much more to learn, and it surprises me every day, and I just love studying it. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, in retrospection, what role do you think IP College has played in your successful academic endeavors later in life?
I think IP was the one who set the foundation for whatever I did ahead. It gave me a lot of confidence. It first like I just said, it acquainted me with economics, which is very, very close to my heart. I was, it has like, it, the professors were so nice that they made me fall in love with the subject. Um, and I mean, IP in itself was very special to me because I had never gone to an all girls. I came from a co-ed school, and so there was this inhibition in me, like, oh, all girls. But I think that was the best decision I made because the kind of independence that I felt, the kind of confidence I got just around being only woman, and the overall experience was very, very nice. Like, it always brings a smile to my face when I think about IP because it gave me confidence. It taught me about economics and much more, and all those the debating and everything. The professors, like, it just like it gave me a very strong foundation to whatever I wanted to do in my life later on, whether be it economics or otherwise. So I'm really thankful to IP for that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, ma'am, my next question to you is: it is common knowledge how difficult getting into DSE can be for a student of economics. So, what suggestions and cautions would you like to give to students who are looking forward to crack the exam?
I think the key to clearing DSE examination is to have your concepts right, because I think many times it happens that in some form or the other, unfortunately, our education system is like that, which encourages mugging up things to some extent. And if you really wish to like clear DSE or other reputable masters institutions in the country like ISI, you need to be sure that your basics are correct, because there is this perception that examinations are very hard. They indeed are hard relative to others, but if your concepts are very strong, they just test you on that. So like whatever you read, whatever you learn, instead of just trying to take it for granted or trying to mug up the definition, just like think about it. And math is very important. You need to love math. I mean, after having studied economics for so long, you need to like love math to be able to do good in economics. So yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, my next question is: many students face a dilemma in choosing a fulfilling career path in economics after their graduation. So, in your experience, what are some good avenues that a bachelor's in economics offers to its students?
I think bachelor's in economics gives you a lot of it provides you with a lot of avenues that you can go ahead with. Though I do feel that given the current scenario, a bachelor's degree in itself is not really enough, because the level of higher education where it's going, it's just like going beyond further and further. So I do feel that going for having some degree after bachelor's is important if you want to climb up the ladder later in your career. But I mean, I think, like I said, like given how economics is, it can be applied everywhere, and it's just around you everywhere. So either going for a master's or going for a private sector job, or working in a think tank for a while, or working in any of the think tank, corporate jobs, masters, or just like I mean, there are many people who I know like do different things and suppose just want to do in mathematics or just want to focus in statistics. So I mean, the reason why I feel that economics is a good degree to do is I think it gives you an all-around development in some way, in the sense that I feel that if you have done math properly, it opens a lot of avenues, like, and you can do a lot of things. So I think that is very one key thing that I feel of economics. And yeah, I think all doors are open. That generally people tend to go for higher education, but you don't have to do that. You can always get some experience and work in a private or a public sector job.
Thank you so much, ma'am. As you're currently pursuing a PhD and, of course, have had a vast experience in research, so what, according to you, are the things that students should pay heed while writing a research paper, which is not really taught, but it makes the difference in one's work?
Um, my research experience is not that vast yet. I hope it gets vast in the future, but with the limited amount of experience that I have, what I have realized is that what I personally think is something which is not taught in the current education system that we have, be it the school level or even at an undergrad or a master's level. At least that was the case for me, is that we're not really taught to critically write about things. Like even in like my undergraduation or masters, it is more about solving things, solving a question. It's not about like critically writing, for example, an essay, or critically giving a critical thoughts about something and just writing it, like writing huge papers, because that's where I feel that that is one thing that I have realized I wish I was better at, which is putting down my thoughts and like making them coherent enough, which I feel only comes with writing. So I think and writing is also very, very hard. And it's, like, for example, I just tend to procrastinate when it comes to writing because I'm like, but yeah, I think writing is something that people should really focus on. And in general, just having a habit of reading research papers, because that gives you an idea of how papers need to be written. Like what's gives you a practice of reading what's there in the literature, having a literature review, and then thinking about how to put any particular question that you see in a theoretical model framework, for example. So yeah, I mean, the suggestion is very banal, but I think it's very important. You should read a lot and should write a lot. That is one thing I think it's very important.
Thank you, ma'am. I really relate to that as a student. Uh, and ma'am, could you please tell us a little more about your current research that you're working on?
So unfortunately, I'm not working on a lot of things right now because I'm on my second year of coursework, and so there's a lot of assignments in general. But I am continuing to work on the gender bias paper that you talked about in the beginning of my very humble introduction. So my research field is basically in applied economics towards in the fields of development and public economics. And the paper that I have been working for quite a while now is basically tries to understand how improving access to public health affects the child sex ratio in a village level or in any place. And the idea here is that, like, it's very well known, and people in India have gendered preferences. They prefer boys over girls. So the idea is that, so people believe that improving access to health should improve your health related outcomes, and therefore should improve, like, if you have better access to health, you're more likely to take your kid to a health facility and make sure that he or she is well. But the idea, the thing that we are approaching here is that if you have biased preferences, if you suppose have a boy and a girl, and if your health facility is not the access to health is not very high, so getting your kid health access is costly. And then if you have a preference for boy, you likely, if both of them fall sick, you're more likely to take a boy than a girl. So what you will see is that there's this inverted U-shaped thing where, as your health facility access increases, your child sex ratio will first go down because you'll give preference to boys. But as it improves further and it becomes less and less costly to get your kid proper health access, you're also likely to take your girls to your daughters, and so the child sex ratio to improve. So what we are basically trying to see using data and theory, if you indeed see these U-shaped curve or not. And apart from that, I am thinking more in terms of local level taxation, and yeah, so it's mostly development and public economics topics that I'm researching right now.
That's very interesting, ma'am. The ignorance is bliss, but not someone who's studying economics. So, as you look back, what do you feel that you wished you knew when you were a young student of economics?
Um, so I think one thing which is really important as you start economics is that regressions should not be taken very seriously. So I feel that what many times happens is that we are very much we have this fixation towards having a significant estimate, and that's just everything. So I think that interpreting your econometric results, keeping theory in mind, is very important. That you should take it with a pinch of salt, not putting a lot of interpretation, not taking a lot out of your regression is very important. So that is one thing I think I as a economics student didn't really think about much. I'm like, okay, there's this regression equation, I have a significant estimate, that's about it. And so I think that I feel something is that you only learn when you read more about papers, you read people how they're interpreting it, and you just get it with experience. So I think that is one thing which I feel should be taken into account, that getting results is not the end of it. You need to think about whether they make sense or not. Just having those 3 stars for significance should not be the end of it.
Thank you, ma'am. And a stark fact that we often see is that economics and economic policy making is still majorly a man's domain. So, what do you feel about this patriarchal nature of the field of economics?
I do agree with you. I mean, I feel it's very patriarchal. I mean, there are positive signs. Like it was a welcome change to have a female won the Nobel Prize last time. But yes, I do feel that it's very male biased. Like, to give an example, I am currently in a batch of 23 people, and we are just 6 women at Columbia in our department. Columbia is just an example, but I think that's something that transcends almost all departments and even at the faculty level. So I do believe that it is patriarchal, but I also think there are, at least with my limited knowledge, I feel things are maybe improving. For example, the very fact that gender economics in itself is something which is coming up as a field and is getting a lot of attention, allows women to have more say in that kind of research and other things. And so I do think things are changing for the better, but maybe not at the pace that it should. But yeah, I think it's sad that it's so patriarchal, but hopefully it won't be like that for long.
Can't agree more, ma'am. So, do you have any advice for the students who aspire to pursue higher education in economics abroad? Like, how should they prepare themselves for the examination, interviews, and the further process?
Interviews generally, I don't think are there for, at least for economics PhDs. I don't know if they are there for economic policy schools, if you want to go for that program. And I mean, so it depends from where you're applying to. For example, it's very hard to apply directly after an undergraduation because at least for in the US, you have this time limit, like you need to have at least 15 years of education, and I think we don't, at least 16 years of education, and we have 15. But the mechanical process is generally you need to have a good GRE score, and it generally you need to have a writing sample, you need to have a statement of purpose, but you need to have nice recommendations. So, but anyway, it's something that I don't think you think about after finishing your undergraduation, because I personally think that uh, directly after undergraduation might be a little hard, even if you go to a PhD school, because um, uh, it's better to at least do another degree, like a master's, which further gives you stronger foundations, the subject, and also exposes you to different sides of the subject in much more deeper detail, which allows you to first understand whether you really want to do economics further or not, and also gives you exposes you to what you want to do, like further, if there's further certain aspects that you like. And also I and depending on what you do, it amounts who writes your recommendations. And it's just, I think it's more of it has become very competitive, economics PhD overall. I think there is a demand and supply issue, but at the same time, if you want to apply abroad, and there are a lot of avenues you can go for, hopefully Mr. Trump would not be the president anymore, and that way US would again be more favorable to students. But so I think it's not something you think after your undergraduation, because you need more experience some way or the other. And thereafter, just like simple steps, like you give a GRE, you have a writing sample. You need to have nice academic grades, especially in mathematics, because at least in many of the US schools, they focus a lot on how you have done in mathematics. So
Thank you for the suggestions, ma'am. So, ma'am, amid the current incertitude brought upon all of us in the pandemic, would you like to elaborate on some of the activities or skill enhancement exercises students must engage themselves in during this lockdown period, which could prove to be of some help in the long run as well?
so just like general advice, I personally have started to run, which I never thought I would, and I think that's very. I think what we need now the most is like fresh air. And staying away from the news, spending less time on social media, because that's not a very hospitable environment. But yeah, I just have like general suggestions that to like, that's what I do, like stay optimistic. This is not gonna stay, things are not gonna be like this for a very long time, and try to focus on other important things, like try to keep on working and try to keep myself physically fit, like run or do yoga or just dance. And yeah, and to talk to people, like I make a point to like meeting people just in a small group as regularly as we can. So yeah, just general things.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, with all the furore over the US elections across the globe, how do you think it will impact the direction in which the global economy is being headed to? So, will it result in a new wave of globalization and better multilateral relations of countries?
I mean, a lot hinges on who wins the elections. If the current trend in votes are to be considered, I think it's hopefully to be Biden. And I do think that under Trump, at least US relationships with many of its allies had worsened, like with respect to European countries. And so I think that might improve. Like there were a lot of like US backing out of WHO or the Paris Agreement was something which doesn't only affect the United States, but affects the entire globe, and that's what comes with USA. Like whatever happens in America, unfortunately or fortunately, affects everybody else. So I mean, also, but in itself, like given the pandemic, it's very hard to see what's gonna turn out just because of the elections, because there's so many things happening around. Like, so I think, I mean, which is not surprising that things are gonna not be better for a long time in terms of economic parameters. There's been growing unemployment, and the Economist came out recently with like the WHO also saying that, sorry, the UN saying that how poverty, like whatever progress we had made in terms of alleviation of poverty in the last 3 decades, we're just right back to square one. Things look very bad in Africa in terms of that as well, even in India, like because with all those migration and so it's gone. I think it's not a surprise. Things are going to be in a slump for a while, but I do feel that if the U.S. elections have in my opinion, goes the Biden way, things might be better overall. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. I guess only time will tell what happens. And it was really wonderful talking to you. And I say this on behalf of all the students of the department that the session was very worthwhile. And I guess it has made us more confident in what lies ahead of us as we really, strive to carve a rewarding career in the field of economics. And also, the whole department is extremely proud of your achievements, and we would really love to have you back in person if possible.
Yeah, I would love to come. I just hope I can come soon. But yeah. But thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. I mean, this was really very nice. Like chatting with you guys was very nice and felt closer to home. So thank you.
Likewise,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you.